We got a long way to go and a short time to get there, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a bunch of questions on states' rights, how to take this country back. With his historical research, Dr. Edwin Vieira's view on if he thinks we have a fighting chance or not, why the globalists are moving so fast. But right now, let's get to a few of your calls that have been patiently holding. Bud in Georgia, you're on the air. Go ahead, sir.
Alex, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, I am a retired person from a very large delivery company that drives brown trucks, and I was assigned to help clean up my company's property at the hurricane. And in doing so, I was there 2 weeks. In doing so, I don't think people really understand what martial law is. There was the regular army, not reserves, the regular army patrolling the streets. We could not go to our area until after daylight. We had to be off the area by 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. We were escorted to the area where we were cleaning up. And during that time, they were constantly walking the streets, monitoring everything. And we were told when we left our building, which was about 60 miles away, that the only thing we could have in our pockets, they gave us a lunch to take with us. The only thing we could have in our pockets were our driver's license and our DOT card, which was required by the government. Patrolling the area, we were in there to salvage our vehicles and things like that. But while we were in there, you know, you start seeing these regular troops on a regular basis walking their routes. And I was approached by one. Matter of fact, I got my picture made with 4 of them in full combat. Everything, I had my picture made, and I still have that. I was approached by one, came up to me and said, if I see anybody that looks like he's going to be looting or looks like he might have a weapon, to come and get him, that he wanted me to come get him personally, that he wanted to take him out, that they had orders to take anybody out that was looting or had a weapon.
And then they went and confiscated citizens' guns who were high and dry. And we've had military call in that talked about witnessing the police with chains ripping the doors off jewelry stores and dragging safes out. Did you see, and it was also on the news, the police looting Walmart. Did you see any of that?
No, I'm sorry I didn't see that.
Well, I'm glad you didn't see it. Well, God bless you, sir. I appreciate that call. For those that just joined us, those are some leftover callers from previous hour when we were taking calls from people that witnessed what martial law is like. Going back to Dr. Edwin Vieira, shifting gears, I wanted to ask you this question. During the break, I was saying, why are they so bold? Why are they moving so fast? And you said they're running out of time. Recap that in your own words, because you've got some faith. You think people are waking up.
Well, this economic machine that they're running out of the Federal Reserve is like a car with square wheels, Alex. You drive a car with square wheels long enough, and there'll be a lot of damage to the front end, damage to the differential, damage to the transmission. And at some stage, that car is going to fall apart. You know that. You just don't know exactly when, but as it's shaking itself to pieces, at a certain stage, you say, well, it's not going to be very much longer. And I think that's what they're looking at. They recognize they can't really be sure they can keep this system under control, so they have to get as much control of us into place as possible in the shortest length of time, because they don't know exactly when the crisis is going to hit. Now, the difficulty for them, however, is that their technique has always been the boiling of the frog story, right? If you drop the frog into the hot pan of boiling water, the frog leaps out literally before it even gets into the water, whereas if you put the frog into cool water and then the frog will not notice what's happening and eventually be boiled. They're heating up the pan now at an increasingly rapid rate, and I think the numbers are waking up to the fact that they're being boiled. And it's only a matter of a very short length of time when enough of them start to jump out of that pan. I think we're seeing that in the Tea Party movement. We're seeing that, of course, in what you're doing and educating people all over the country. It's becoming more and more apparent that the blinders are being stripped off the eyes of the average American, and he can see who's who and what's what. And now it's simply a matter of getting him to understand what needs to be done to deal with these problems that he recognizes are there, finally recognizes are there.
Break it down. Where we're going, what individuals can do, what communities can do. Let's say you're the general trying to direct people on the best course of action to take the republic back from these people via the states and as well as the federal government. What is the proper role of the states and the people under the 9th and 10th Amendment? Of course, you covered in Don't Tread on Me. How do we legally and lawfully block and then checkmate this criminal takeover?
Well, I think, number one, we have to get control of our local economies, because if the economy goes down in general, the average man is going to be in a desperate situation. He's going to be willing to take direction from higher-up authorities, from the central government, from martial law figures, or the man on the white horse type syndrome. And the economy is the thing that really is the linchpin here. And we have the opportunity to do that, but it's going to require action at the state level, and action at the state level directed towards what? Towards providing the foundation for any sound economy, which is a sound currency system. We don't have that now. Our problem is centrally located in the Federal Reserve System. We wouldn't have all of these difficulties today, at least not to the degree that we have them, if that system weren't in operation, hadn't been in operation since before World War I. So we need to take action at the state level to bring in an alternative currency, and we see that already happening, at least in the sense that various state legislators are putting in bills to that effect. There's one this year in Georgia, in South Carolina. There was one last year in Indiana and Montana. I think Colorado had one. People in Oklahoma are talking about it. So I think it's a matter of folks at the grassroots making the contacts with state legislators that they think have a true constitutionalist bent, number one, and some understanding of the economics of the situation, saying, look, we need you to take a strong look at this kind of legislation. We can, in fact, we have the constitutional authority. Actually, the Supreme Court already ruled on this particular question in the late 1800s, whether a state could institute and use an alternative currency and not be required to use the currency that Congress had emitted. At that time was the Lincoln greenbacks, the irredeemable Lincoln greenbacks. So we even have the Supreme Court on our side on this one, besides the 10th Amendment and the 9th Amendment. So that's number one. Because if you have the alternative currency in place, then that state is not going to suffer the full ravages of economic dislocations when this banking system comes down, as I am fairly confident it will.
And I think the key here is you're saying we've got to start getting this in place now.